Hey everyone, Temporal here, and today we have someone who is looking to get a scholarship for Overwatch for playing in Collegiate, and they need to climb quite a bit to do that. I am a collegiate coach. I work for Northeastern. I also do quite a bit of freelance work for some other schools there, but I know the college scene pretty darn well. We actually cover it on this channel, so I'm pretty tapped into this issue, how the collegiate scene is, how much money is to be had there, how much work it takes to play in that scene to climb. So we're going to take a look at this, and we're going to respond to the small beans questions, desires, ask for help here. He's asked for help in climbing, and as you can probably predict, because we're a little more no nonsense than that on this channel, we are not going to be telling him to climb from 1100 bronze on console to 3300 plus on PC, which he believes will get him onto the team and get him scholarship money. We are going to instead go ahead and tell him, please, for the love of bejesus, do not do this. Like, do not go, oh, I need financial help to go to college, and my best route for that is a scholarship money for playing Overwatch. If you were already GM, if you were already 40 or 400, great, no problem. You can go to one of these schools that actually put real heavy scholarship money into it, and you could get a meaningful amount. You could get thousands of dollars of scholarship money to cover each year. In some cases, if you wanted to go to something like ISU, you could be going, hey, if you could get into ISU from a Overwatch standpoint, because remember, the ones that really are offering the most scholarship money, the amount where you're talking like half rides plus, that sort of thing, or where you're talking, thousands of dollars plus per semester, those are really looking for players that are contenders players, former owl players, trials players, that sort of thing. Like, that is what those schools that are building those super teams are offering in some cases. Outside of really the big six, and not even all of the big six, for example, one of the big six, one of the top six schools in collegiate Overwatch would be University of Texas, Dallas, the Comets, and their scholarship dollars. I mean, I can say this: they're offering like 1,000 a year, 500 a semester, something in that range. And that's not actually weird for the scholarship amount of dollars that are going out. Some of the others in the Big Six are offering more like half rides, close to full rides type thing. Things like Boise State offer pretty decent scholarship dollars because they got into that Overwatch scene big. But it's a lot more common for varsity programs to be offering, especially the ones that aren't at the very, very tippy top, that haven't gone heavy with the school investment, to go, hey, here's $1,000 to play Overwatch for us for a year, which is fine. If you're already GM and you want to have that team experience of playing, hey, that's just a nice little bought a couple textbooks, we'll go with it. But you cannot, if you're financially struggling, even pretend to justify, I'm going to train, and I'm going to train at Overwatch for financial benefit. If you are financially struggling, you need to go get a job. You can go do lots of jobs just online. You can do lots of things that, if you're worried about like, hey, I don't want to go out and maybe bring sickness back home to elderly family members or things like that, there's still things that you can do online that don't really even require applying. They'll just take you, that are going to pay way, way better than what you would get for going, for, hey, maybe you're going to get $300 a semester, $500 a semester. Maybe you're going to get $1,000 a semester to play Overwatch. Like, the amount of work it takes to go from, what do we have here? I'm pretty sure you include about 1100 SR on console up to 3300 on support on PC is going to be a huge, and I do not mean it'll be like 20 hours. It'll probably take you, and probably not even 100 hours. You're probably going to be putting more than that in to do that climb. That would be my guess. There's ways that you could do it more efficiently, but that is not remotely efficient. And guess what? If your school is serious about Overwatch and is offering scholarship dollars, even if it's only offering like 500 a semester, whatever the case may be, 300 a semester, you name it, even if they're doing that, you might get up to 3,300. Maybe. I really don't recommend it. But that does not guarantee you that you'll have a spot on the team for 4 years. I I work for Northeastern. We're a consistently top collegiate Overwatch team, and I trial my players. Like, you go into it next year, some people who have actively gone and recruited and are former, trials level players, contenders level players, that sort of thing. Yeah, we both know that they're going to make it onto the team and they're going to get their scholarship dollars, but I field a team, and, I field a team where we have the fortunate benefit, because we've cultivated a program at this point, of going, hey, I have more Grandmaster players at the school than I can field on a starting roster for sure, and I have more Grandmaster players at the school who have played in semesters who go, hey, I'm probably going to put, 9 on the team, and I'm picking between 10, 11 players, that sort of thing, and we're really only going to start 6 of them, maybe roughly 7 of them when it comes to that, and the others are really stubs that you're sort of looking at there. So, like, that's going to happen. Well, guess what? 3,300, I'm just using this as an example to point out that, as your school gets better, by your junior year, if you were counting on that $1,000 because you're in these financial straits, probably not going to be there. Your school's probably going to have leveled up, or if it hasn't and it's not getting any attention, they could also just pull the program. Your school could very much go, hey, we put a little bit of money into this esports thing, didn't really take off for us, we didn't really become an esports hub. We see other schools like Bay State, like Maryville, like Harrisburg really put money in, like ISU really put money into becoming an esports hub for Collegiate. We've got Harrisburg, for example, going with Hugh Fest, really doing that stuff, going, we're going to build as a school that's not terribly well known into an esports powerhouse, and that's going to be what our name is on. Well, if your school decides it's already too populated, we're not making success by putting this money into it, we're not getting more applicants to our school, or we're not getting more attention to our school to get people to want to come here, they could drop the program partway through. Again, this isn't going to be a good path for you, and I have to warn you away from this. Now, this is not me warning everyone away. People who are going and looking at, hey, or even you, if you're going, hey, I'm not actually financially in a bad place, I'm totally fine, everything is fine, I just thought it would be cool to get some money for playing Overwatch, well, completely remove the money from your mind, seriously. But if you just want to play Overwatch in college because it's fun to do so. Like, you're like, I want the college experience of being on a sports team. I really enjoyed being on a sports team in high school, or something along those lines, and Overwatch is what I want to do. That's great. I highly recommend that. If you enjoy that sort of thing, absolutely go do that. Some teams have a lot of fun together. Some don't, by the way, but some teams have a lot of fun together. Like, our team will go rock climbing, our team will go karaoke, these are things that they go do, and they enjoy each other's company, and some of them made friendships that they wouldn't otherwise have had, and you can do that in college. So yeah, if you want to do that, absolutely, that's a perfectly fine thing to do. But at that point, you can go to lots of schools that'll have club teams, or have club teams behind their varsity program, or maybe just club teams instead of a varsity program. By the way, there are some very good club teams in Overwatch too. If you look at Santa Cruz, for example, UC Santa Cruz, they're a top 16 school, doesn't have school support, doesn't have a varsity program, they're just a club team, and they are very good at Overwatch. So that's still a mixed up thing where you have varsity programs and club programs, and sometimes they intermix, whatever. But even the schools that have varsity programs will generally have club teams behind them that you can play on, and you can still be on a team even without going, oh, I've strictly got to make this number, I've got to triple my SR before fall. Like, don't do that to yourself. Now, this may be too low to even get on any of the club teams, because the reality is the club teams are still going to go, hey, we are going to still do our own tryouts, and, we might do tryouts with what's left over after the varsity team, or what's left over after the first club team for the second club team, so you may need to climb some, but at that point, you're climbing because you want to climb, because you want to play with friends, you want to have that college experience, and not because you financially need to. If you financially need to, please do not go this route. The only people who should be going the I'm going to play Overwatch for financial gain route are seriously Contenders players. Like, if you are not a Contenders player, you should not be thinking about Overwatch as a way to financially help yourself in college there. Could you get some money thrown at you? Great. Are there going to be players who didn't play in Contenders but are like 4,500 who go to schools that give out good scholarship money? There's going to be a few, yeah, but those are players that could have played on Contenders teams if they'd wanted to. They just looked at Contenders and said, why would I play in Contenders? That takes way too much time and doesn't pay very well, because unless you were the Redbirds for the last 2 years or American Tornado for the last 2 years, that's mostly true. There's not a ton of money in the contender scene. The collegiate scene is the future. I can go on that rant. But that's really what I wanted to say. I know the ask here is much more in the, oh, how do I get better? You know, I'm watching videos, but here's some codes. I'm not going to review your codes. I'm not going to review your codes because this is not the way to go. But that's going to have it. So I'm going to go ahead and catch up on chat here. I do see there were other things here. We're going to spend some more time on this, but I'm going to catch up on chat because I think some of you might have interesting collegiate questions. Like if you want to know things like, okay, well, which schools do offer pretty good scholarships, or which schools are good academically, or which while being good at Overwatch, because you're generally having to take your picks when it comes to collegiate Overwatch, and this isn't just for this student here. We're going, okay, do you want a school that's good academically, like good academically and good at Overwatch, and that might be something like a Northeastern, like a UC Irvine. Do you want a school that's really good at Overwatch? Well, obviously you'd be looking at an ISU, a Maryville, but can you get onto those teams, that sort of thing. Do you want a school that has lots of scholarship money available? And yeah, ISU went into it pretty heavily. Boise has figured out how to monetize their program well with summer camps, things like that. So like there are different ones that you can think about there. But hey, let's take a look. You say collegiate is the future? How come this is only a North American thing? It's not strictly an only North American thing, Cager. There actually are European collegiate Overwatch teams, but no. Activision Blizzard is currently only hosting their main tournament each semester for North America right now. And yeah, like I kind of have to shrug my shoulders and say Activision Blizzard is based in North America, so that sort of makes sense. We have USA and Canadian teams competing in these. We in Northeastern played against what was it? It was Ontario Tech, and they were a solid team. They were a top 32 team last semester. They or not last. Now it was a year ago. They were a top 32 team. This last season, they didn't compete in the main Activision tournament, but they did compete in the NACE, which is the biggest third-party league I'd have said of the last semester. It would have been either NACE or NECC. This season will have ESA as well. So, you know, there's some good third-party leagues out there, and those similar type of third-party leagues can and do exist in Europe, but I agree there hasn't been as many schools that have gone that direction. So it could be that Europe will hang around, you know, and oh, maybe, yes, I do talk about collegiate as the future of contenders because maintaining that contenders ecosystem, it's harder to do so. You have to pump a bunch of money into that contender system, and you've seen the competition move towards collegiate. I mean, we saw American Tornado, whose spiritual successor to them was effectively ISU. ISU went on and played, and you know they've won basically every contenders for 2 years, guys. Let's not kid ourselves. Not everyone, but basically everyone. And then in collegiate, they lost this season. So collegiate has leveled up. Yes, they had COVID. A couple of their players got sick. Don't get me wrong, and you know that happened, but we see that has happened, and they lost to a roster that was somewhat Solaris, but was really Northwood. And you're going to see that. Like, oh, look, the teams in collegiate, that infrastructure with the collegiate backing is a lot easier to hold together and go forward because the schools don't 100% need that full profit motive that teams in tier 2 are going to have. Like in tier 2, you're doing it takes so much time, you sort of have to pay the bills with it. In collegiate, that infrastructure is already there. The schools already exist. The schools are already going to have some of these things. Leagues make sense for those. Like that works better. You can go, hey, you're getting your education at the same time as long as you're getting an education in a useful field, which is a different rant that I'm happy to go into, but hey. Activision Blizzard is based, temporal 2022. I mean, I hope that Activision Blizzard is smart enough to recognize that collegiate is probably their future because it's a much cheaper infrastructure to keep running, just like it's cheaper for professional athletics leagues to go, hey, let's recruit from college rather than have our own leagues. Now, some of them do have their own leagues, but they've started recruiting more heavily from college in a lot of these leagues. And a lot of the ones like baseball that do have their own non-collegiate leagues that they're doing heavy recruiting from, again, that makes a lot more sense when the pay gap between your AAA player and your baseball player is like, 500,000 for someone that you brought up from AAA that you can lock them into for years versus 8 million or 12 million or 50 million if they're in free agency. So like that makes sense. That doesn't make sense in the Contenders world. The Contenders world was basically designed to have academy teams. And where did the academy teams go? Or they're pumping money into a product for Contenders payouts. Not enough, we would all say, but they're having to pump money into that doesn't really get recouped through viewership, sponsorships, etc. Semitic says, is currently a console player? If so, the transfer to PC would be even lower, so this is really hopeful thinking? Exactly. Which part did you want me to clip, Semitic? Or which part did you want clipped? Whole concept of scholarships is weird to you as a European, let alone Overwatch related. I hear you, Kongix, but in here over in America, we have had this nice little education bubble where school has gotten really, really expensive. Ultimately, this is a result of the government backing student loans here. It's not like parts of Europe where the education is effectively free or paid for. But no, in the US, we went, hey, the government is going to guarantee the student loans. Students are not going to be able to declare bankruptcy to get rid of student loans. And, once we saw that happen, we saw over time the price of school just went up and up and up here. So one of the ways to help combat that was, let's do scholarships. Let's do this. Like, we want more people to be able to get into school. Then scholarships existed before the prices started going up. But, the idea was let's give people who are good at stuff a chance to go to these expensive, prestigious universities. Now, we probably have too many universities and probably have too many people going to university. But hey, that's fine. As long as the people are going to university and recognize and study and figure out what can I actually get a job in on the other end, because the reality is that's why most people are going to universities these days. They're not doing it to become well-rounded, good people, citizens. They're going to figure out, hey, this is the, something to help get a job. As long as people are doing it in fields that are employable, that is totally fine with me. Just make sure that it does make sense economically to go, hey, you're spending this much on university. Are there actually jobs on the other side? And, do your own research on that. You really do want to look into that yourself and not just go, well, I'm told that there will be lots of openings for small town rural lawyers. Go check that yourself. Or I'm told there's a shortage of pharmacists. Go look into that yourself. Like, be sure that that's not just trying to get some downward pressure on pharmacist wages, for example, because companies would like there to be more pharmacists because greater supply decreases the profits decreases the wages, that sort of thing. America, the land of one medical incident away from financial ruin. You're not wrong, Semitic. You're not wrong. Should have been born good at football or Overwatch. Gager says, Overwatch scholarships are weird to me as well. Maybe just an American type beat thing. In the UK, university normally costs, let's see, 9,250 euros per annual, roughly 13K. How bad isn't it in America? Depends entirely on the school. There are very expensive schools and there are schools that are quite a bit cheaper. It's pretty common for people who are aware of finances and going, hey, I want the cheapest route through possible to go through community college where they can spend $1,000, few $1,000 a semester to go, hey, and get their community college work done and then transfer into a more expensive or potentially more prestigious university to finish out their last 2 years there. But it does vary quite a bit, Kager, in terms of how much you're looking at from a per year, per semester basis, where some are going to be, online universities that can be pretty cheap if they want to be competitive. Others are going to be quite expensive. Others are going to be fairly expensive, but actually do a good job of setting up paid internships and things like that. Yeah. Certain people have to make insane grades, and other people need to be good at throwing a ball. Sounds weird to me, but I appreciate the explanation. Pretty much, pretty much. And that's the thing with counting on scholarships, though. Like, counting on scholarships is like, is that scholarship still going to be there the next year and the year after? Like, it's tough to count on scholarships from oh, I can go to this school because my scholarships let me afford it. Are you sure that'll be there in your junior year? Are you sure that'll be there in the second semester of your sophomore year? Because if not, does everything blow up for you? Well, then probably don't go to that school, but up to you. I think it's gone a bit too far with the vocational courses. Will you really look back when you retire and be glad you did a vocational course? I did economics, which kind of straddles both. What's that in reference to there, James? I think it's gone a bit too far with the vocational courses. Oh, college? Like how it's gone a little too far? I don't think college in the US has gone too far in terms of leading to vocational courses. Like there are trade schools that people can go to, and those are heavily vocational courses, of course. But I don't think most people would say college is heavily vocational courses. The university staff are still very much, I'd say the professors are still very much in this like, no, you're here to get a well-rounded education and to be a good citizen within our democracy. And the students are like, I am here because I need to check a box to get jobs that says I have to get a degree. Or I am here because I want to do engineering because I want to make six figures for the rest of my life because I want to work hard now so that later parts of my life are easier. Like the students and the professors are on different pages there. And the faculty, who are actually making way more money than the professors and are aware much of the cost creep that happened since really 2006, because our costs have gone up hugely for universities since 2006, and it was not in professor pay, it was not in hiring more professors, it was mostly in, facility upgrades that we probably didn't need, or in, hey, let's incredibly increase the amount of administration we have by like 300%, and a lot of the time for services that very few students are actually going to use. But now we're paying 300,000 at some state schools for like a diversity librarian, where you're like, wait, what's that position and why do we need it? Oh, okay, Michigan. Okay, things like that. So yeah, those would be things to, I would not say, James, that we are in a situation where the schools themselves, to my knowledge, are heavily going on the vocational courses and people look back and then go, oh, that was a waste of my time. I mean, people mostly still do have their GE requirements that are going to require, depending on what state you're in, but okay, you've got to have, maybe some English requirement, maybe some math requirement, maybe you have a cultural studies requirement, maybe you have a foreign language requirement, that sort of stuff, all is GEs before the upper division stuff. Yeah, you heard me, Congex. You heard me. And they're not the only school that did that. Another school did one for, I'm not kidding, 500,000. But hey, okay. EU unis have scholarships too. They're just not as big a deal. Okay, okay. Stars Filth. Hey, Stars Filth, what you got? I think the I need a little push in the right direction is highly underestimating the task they have ahead of them. Climbing to diamond from bronze is not easy, especially if you set a hard date to do it by. Completely agreed. And Stars Filth has coaching experience. Stars Filth has been coaching for years, doing private coaching, has his own channel. You guys can click through on him in the chat there if you want to check him out. He's got some funny thumbnails. If you're looking for like so bad they're hilarious that they're good, like if you're looking at the here's bad, here's good, and it turns out it's not actually a line like this, what it is with bad and good is more like here's good, here's bad, here's the line, and if we just push a little harder, it's awesome. And Stars Filth has figured out how to do that, so good on him. But he has coaching experience and is someone else who will tell you going from bronze to diamond is, not an easy task there. Bronze to anything above average is more than a little push, for sure. Also makes me wonder if the person even enjoys the improvement process to begin with, which is required to climb efficiently. If there's a different incentive, it could get pretty tiring pretty fast. I think the incentive structure here is very much in trouble. I think this person is, if they're in bronze and they're going, hey, I want to climb to get a scholarship, to get money to play Overwatch. Like, I think there's very much incentive issue problems here of like, I want to play video games to make money, or I want to play video games to save money, or is this really just like, I need to be able to tell my parents, no, I'm playing this video game to get a scholarship, so they'll leave me alone while I play a bunch of video games, which like, no. Like, if you just want it as an excuse because you want to play video games or you want to be on a team and you want to have fun and you don't actually need the money, that's fine. Do what you want. That doesn't really bother me. But if what you're doing is like you actually do need the money and you're thinking of this as a financial thing, like fast food restaurants are hiring at pretty good rates right now. You're what? 17, 18? Go do that. Seriously. Get some experience working and get some experience working in the service industry. At that point, you can go, hey, I maybe don't want to do this in the future, and therefore I'm going to go make sure that I figure out what I can do in the future that isn't this. Or maybe you'll just get some experience working, and that grounds you in the real world a little more, and you will get paid a lot more and save a lot more money than you would off of your scholarship here. That, again, you can't count on being there for you in future semesters, and you can't count on being the one to get in future semesters. Temporal is secretly super based. He just censors himself for YouTube. No comment. No comment. Temporal is logical like a Vulcan. That's why he's a good coach. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's take another look here. Title hooked you. Good to hear it. I'm not sure if I'm broke is a valid reason to grind Overwatch that insanely. I think you're better off getting a job for sure. If this was a movie, OP would be playing Zac Efron and Temporal would be the cynical coach. Would be played by Michael Creighton, and OP would prove everyone wrong. Right, if this was a movie, I'm the old man saying, no, you can't do it, you can't achieve your dream, it's too far, you're not good enough, how dare you? And this would be a movie, and this kid would be like, no, I'm gonna fight my way through, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna have a Rocky training montage, yeah, some things are gonna get in my way, but I'm gonna overcome the obstacles, and I did it, I made it! And, you know, that would be cool. That would be cool, but for every time that happened, 99 other people failed, and for every time that happened, a lot of other people went, hey, instead of going this foolish route to get, I don't know, $1,000, $700, $600, whatever, instead of going this route, someone else went, yeah, I'm making that in a week working part-time at McDonald's, Taco Bell, whatever the case may be. And, oh, by the way, I also still get to have a little bit of free time to play Overwatch on the side, and playing Overwatch on the side is more fun than you're having with Overwatch, where you're just trying to grind it and get better, and, like, you have so much pressure on you to make the scholarship dollars, that sort of thing. Rock climbing and scholarships Overwatch, you young whippersnappers are so lucky. There you go. There you go. Okay, I think that's going to do it. Oh, hold on. In 2 years, this guy is going to be an owl, and he will be posting a video about how Temporal doubted him. You just wait. I fully look forward to the publicity I'm going to get for being the cranky old man when someone that I said, hey, don't go this route, go work instead, it goes, I made Owl, look at this fool, and like, guess what, I'm totally fine with, taking that L for the publicity it'll be worth, because guess what, people are smart enough to know that I'm right, and that this was the exception, etc. But hey, I don't know if the person we're trying to direct this to, that we're trying to help, is gonna make that realization, but hey, I'll take that one. People should do what they love as a job. That way they lose all enjoyment for it. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, the shortest path to success is not do what you love, that sort of thing. Like, A, it's more work than you think it is. You'll lose some enjoyment of it over time, and then it stops being fun. Now, you can do things that are interesting to you for work, but you really do have to look at, Are you okay grinding it and working hard on it and potentially losing enjoyment for it? And also, work is supposed to suck, guys. That's why someone's giving you a paycheck for it. Like, it can be somewhat fun, it can be cool. Maybe work is supposed to suck is too strong of a way of putting it, but like, the reason someone is willing to exchange dollar bills for what you're doing is because not everyone wants to do it. In fact, the less people are willing to do it and the more in demand it is, the more of these that they're generally willing to give you. Lots of people want to play video games, so you're not going to get very many dollar bills for this. Now, you can get more dollar bills for this if you do a great job of combining entertainment, or if you've managed to effectively Pareto principle the bejesus out of it and go, hey, everyone is watching me. So, you know, the XQCs of the world, everyone is watching me and very few people are watching everyone else, and therefore new people come in and continue to watch me because it's effectively a monopoly power type thing. Not really a monopoly, but it's a similar type concept where, you know, big success, whatever. But that's, again, not the standard thing here. Most of the time you go, hey, what do I do? Oh, if I do the hard stuff that less people are wanting to do, I can make more money. That's why we have a lot more majors that are majoring in and get degrees in the humanities, for example, but we generally pay more money to people who go and do the STEM fields, the hard math, etc. But that's not strictly true. You still do need to look at, hey, what can I actually do with this thing? Are there actually jobs that rely on this sort of thing, and do you still expect them to be there on the other side of it? But generally, yeah, doing the hard stuff, doing the stuff that other people don't want to do will generally pay more. In 2 years, he'll be a major Twitch streamer. Okay. Okay. That could be a thing that can work. You can make a lot of money on Twitch if you manage to be a major Twitch streamer. But again, it's sort of like there's going to be the people that wildly make it on Twitch, and most people are going to be like, okay, you're getting very little out of it. And that's how it's going to work, and that's how it's always going to work with this sort of thing. But that's okay. Okay, I think that's going to do it. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do drop a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. If you'd like to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below. I offer both Overwatch coaching, which I did not do for this person here, as well as coaching for life type things. That can be the ones that make the most impact on those are going to be related to school, related to work, related to relationship or dating type stuff, things that are related to finances. Those types of things make generally the most difference for people. So, you know, if you're looking for some mass temporal stuff, if you're looking for that, I do that as well. This time we got to combine Overwatch and more general help guide you in the right direction advice type stuff. But hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy this, or if you want more people to see this one, I did post this one here. So go ahead, and I did post the comment linking to this video here so that he can see it. Let's try and get this a little more visibility so that maybe he can see it, or maybe other people can see it, and they'll go, oh, hey, Temporal, will you let me know which schools can I actually go to go do this? Or, hey, which school can I go to be good at Overwatch and to have, you know, a good education or a good level of prestige to it, that sort of thing. Okay. Thanks, guys.